morning if you're here live, and if you're on the other side of the planet, good night. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that just came to my head this morning when I woke up, thinking about tracking and manipulation of the media and all that spooky stuff. Tracking. Are you being tracked? Who's tracking you? Let's go find out if we can find Mr. Brian in the bag in the green office there, green room. There he is. Hi, Brian. Good morning.
Hello.
Were you
Thank you for inviting me on again, Brad. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of fun seeing humans, you know?
Definitely.
Sometimes I'm doing all these things by myself, my little selfies. I don't know if anybody's watching, but that's just the way it is, you know. Yep. Were you surprised when you saw the little graphic, the who's tracking who?
Kind of. I was intrigued by it. It's interesting.
It is, because I was at Top Golf yesterday, and they've got those chips in those balls so they can kind of track the flight path of the ball out there. And there's other ways of tracking things. I started thinking about the whole triangulation of how those private investigators, the police, can track somebody down by triangulating the GPS towers and all that. You can find out where a cell phone is. And then there's other ways of finding out information that I know from my magical background. You know, there's ways of predicting the future, supposedly. And it's done through communication and just learning things. And you can do that through words. That's why I put shocking on there on that title.
So help me out without revealing too much. If a lady is in a box and you're ready to saw her body in half, did you communicate? Well, obviously you communicated before the show, right? Are there any little nonverbal cues you do with your people that are on stage? I mean, if she's in a box ready to get sawed up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, here's one. You know, when you're on a bigger stage, people are farther away from you. You can kind of tap on the box to make sure that everything's okay. And then she raps back and says, "Yep, I'm okay." So yeah, there's that. And there's also just code words, just like, you know, the Morse code. There's different ways of coding things through, right, you know, verbal methods.
Right.
That's the more deceptive way of doing it. But and I guess if a person doesn't know, then a person doesn't know. And that's kind of what I was alluding to with how this GPS tracking, even though you don't have a chip embedded in your wrist, you might be wearing a hat that has a label on it. That might have a chip in it. Hey, we got a comment here. Who is this? Who do we got? Mr. Frank Togus. Good morning, Frank.
Morning, Frank.
He says morning. He says morning, Brad, but Frank, you got to say morning to Brian too.
Morning, Frank.
There's more than one B here.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Frank is a magician friend of mine, so he knows exactly what we're talking about. Great. And I can't reveal any secrets, or he'll have me executed or something, or excavated or whatever. But that kind of stuff is done, and it's even done manipulatively. You notice that sometimes you'll see this headline, and it happened to me just with the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. I see the headline, and that pulls me in, and I read the article, and I don't really see what I thought I saw in the headline. But they got me.
Right.
They want to get you because maybe an advertiser is there, and I might see it, and then I might go, "Hey, I need to get my tires for the winter." And then I go buy the tires, and that tire company can pay for more ads to keep the publication running. So it's just business, you know?
Right. I recently observed this happening with my own phone. I was kind of at a loss or a shock. Had some shock. I couldn't explain it, but I think I was talking to my wife about going to see my daughter at a university, and then you go into your feed and there's an ad for the university. I mean, or you're talking to someone in the grocery store, talking to them, and you're mentioning some some show or concert or a brand, and your phone shows you that brand. Is it recording you? I mean, I didn't have any kind of recording on that I know of. How is it picking up my?
I say yes.
What's that?
I mean, you can get into the more the spiritual, metaphysical realm of stuff, that everything is interconnected, and your thought that goes out into the universe makes things happen. You know, if people believe in prayer, then I guess it could happen that way too. But for sure, I think our phones are on. People that just turn it off, that doesn't mean nothing. The battery's still there, and everything is connected. I mean, when you do the voice recognition and talk into your phone, the words come out. Usually they're spelt pretty good, and that's all the internet is words and links. So if you say the word Coleman camping stove, and now we're going to get Coleman camping stove ads on our feed somewhere. Oh, Frank has a question or something. Frank says, let me see if I can read this. There was a popular online game that many youth were addicted to, and it turned out that a bunch of psychologists had been hired to come up with ways to make them addicted to the game so they would stay playing and buy higher levels. I totally get it. There's a place in Nevada called Las Vegas, and they've got a game, and they use all the blinky lights and all the sounds and all the smells and all the visuals and even the olfactory stuff, the nose, they use all that stuff to get you addicted.
Oh, call that legal addictioning.
Yeah, I guess, but addiction is just, I mean, some people are addicted to drugs. Other people might be addicted to like smoking or alcohol, or you might be addicted to social media or relationships. It's just a yearning that a person has. And sometimes when it's chemically induced, it's more powerful, I guess, and maybe harder to get off of. But, you know, I'm addicted to water. I need to have it.
That's a good thing. Lots of it. 100 ounces a day, Brad. I want to see you do 100 ounces a day.
There you go. I think that would be good. I don't want to, what do you call it? Overdose on water. Here's another one. Frank says, addicted to smoking bars, use music, lights, and lack of clock, true, in order to make it almost impossible to have any kind of conversation. So all you can do is drink. All you can do is drink. That's true. That's correct. You know, grocery stores are designed so that you usually turn to the right, or they used to be. I don't think they are anymore, but they used to be designed that way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And all that stuff is psychological. Now you do copywriting, Brian. So some of that, it kind of falls into the same thing. That when you're doing your copywriting, it needs to sort of be in the same language of the recipient. Like if you're doing something for medical device manufacturers, they need to know the acronyms and the buzzwords and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're speaking a different language. So you gotta kind of weed them in with certain words.
Starts with identifying your audience, Brad. I think you can always introduce someone who doesn't know anything about it with your writing, or you can write to experienced professionals in the field. You just have to know your persona, because sometimes writing to both doesn't work. So
totally. I mean, there's a lot of that happen. I mean, when you look at social media, what's happening with everybody posting everything everywhere, and they're in different moods and different places and different situations, and you miscommunicate something, and all of a sudden you get ghosted or banned or something. It's really weird. Like, how did Let's Go Brandon come about?
Right. It's so random in general.
Yeah, so that's just weird that kind of stuff, that it happens, and that's an example. That's a code word for some different words.
Yeah. Yep. It's one big trend. It's a trend that it's a race. It's a competition to get a trend, right? And if you're lucky enough to have people jump onto that trend or jump onto that bandwagon, something as generic as Let's Go Brandon becomes a hit. Yep.
Someone's going to come up with a song or something. And
Right.
That's the fascinating part to me, the technology of all this stuff on the internet. That's where this kind of came up, this topic of the whole GPS, that sometimes it's not as complicated as an actual microchip with technology in it. It might be something as simple as a word that attracts people and knowing why it does, you know?
Speaking of words, did you hear on the news there's about 400 new words they added to the dictionary?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's all we need. More words.
Chillax is one of them.
Oh, chillaxing?
Yeah. And dad bod.
Really?
Yes. It was on the news. It was on.
That's so weird because
Randy Meyer said on the news, and he was intrigued with dad bod. They read the definition right there for us.
And chillaxing is sort of a blend between chill out and relax. And chill, I think, came from why don't you just be more cool?
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird how that stuff all transforms. So chillax is a real word now, huh?
It is. You can look it up in the Webster's dictionary.
And is Webster still around?
But now, what part of speech would that be? Would that be adjective, or would that be an action verb? Chillax. I don't know.
I don't know what those things either. That's why when people ask me what my pronouns are, I don't know, because I don't understand nouns and verbs and pronouns and adverbs, and I don't know what they mean. I just talk, as you can tell.
Well, I hope grammar school didn't fail you, Brad.
My grammar didn't go to school. Maybe she did. I don't know. I don't think I had grammar school. So what else you want to talk about? Go ahead and ask me a question. I feel like I got a wealth of knowledge bursting.
So how is it that if I'm not a phone expert by any means, I think earlier you said even if the phone is off, it still has a battery?
Yeah.
So it's going to pick up things?
Well, whoever designed it so that the battery continues to run stuff. You know, that's why you can have your phone the battery is in the phone now. It used to be you could pull them out. Now you can't. I don't think you can even pull a chip out, can you? Maybe you can.
Well, the SIM card, but
yeah, the SIM card, which stands for what? SIM.
Satellite implemented.
You're making this up. Like I'd said before, some of that doesn't matter so much just because you don't have your phone connected. If you go in and you buy something, then they know that. I mean, that's connected to the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, this could fall into whole deep conspiracy theories and stuff, but where is the internet? You know, it's everywhere. It's just connections of stuff. If I can connect with somebody over in London and Singapore and Sydney, Australia, and Costa Rica, it's all connected. So,
and it's been around a lot longer than people think. It
wasn't Al Gore.
Fledgling and small, even in the 70s. And then you get this AOL in the mid 90s and this crashing sound and this dial-up internet, and people think it's this great sensation, but it actually wasn't new at that time. It was as old as the 70s, just very little widespread. It wasn't that utilized, as you know. So,
yeah, I also think it's fascinating. Like I went to a seminar once and a guy talked about how there's information everywhere, and even in a little teeny tiny little spot, just a micro little teeny little spot, there's information there, and you can pick up my phone, your phone, a pager, a emergency system, KQ, Fox 9. All that information is right in the same spot. It doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
So I can take my phone wherever I want and pick up that signal anywhere. So I think that's fascinating that all that information, all of it, is all accessible in one teeny tiny little spot. That's bizarre.
Well, I have another that breeds another question for you, Brad. What is a 4K? What does 4K refer to in a TV? Is it 4,000 little pixels?
Yeah, that's a question I don't know.
Because those little tiny dots you just pointed to, I don't know how you made that, whatever you did.
Well, I was actually referring to just space.
All those little tiny dots in a TV screen, the
pixel,
the aspect ratio, you know, the high def dots.
Yeah.
Those are actually all tiny, tiny lights.
Right. And
we learned that in IP video surveillance when we talked about resolutions and cameras and such. And we dealt with different types of infrared lenses and different types of cameras and such. So screens and so forth.
And the more of those little dots, the more clear the picture ends up being, because it's getting more and more finite, right?
Yeah, more defined. Yep.
And eventually you get down to where they're really, really little teeny, and they're almost not, you can't even see them, which ends up being like us, being holograms.
Yeah, right.
We're getting into the sci-fi element of it. So I hope some of this stuff is of value to people like Frank and the people that hear this down the road, because we still got some viewers on here I can see. And then I'll pop it out to, it's on YouTube. I don't know what's going on that end of things. So there.
This could be a day to celebrate our viewers here and thank them for their interaction and enjoying the Magic Brad Show.
Absolutely. It's always fun to have that connection. And sometimes, or oftentimes, I get frustrated because there's not enough traffic happening at things. But I sometimes don't realize that different people have different things going on, and they've got 24 hours to see this. And then it's recorded on YouTube, so they got 24 days or 24 years, I guess. So I don't try and predict all this stuff or try and control all the things that happen. I kind of just put stuff out there, and if someone's on the internet and they type in GPS conspiracy, that word will come up. So,
well, in closing, then, I wonder what it would be like to look up the Magic Brad Show when I'm 74 years old.
Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself through so much?
Oh, it's fun to go through nostalgia.
Frank has another thing here. He says, most people get sings on the replays. Very seldom does it work out that you would get it live. So I don't know what that means. Most people will get things, perhaps. He might have talked it in and it came out as sings because he's got a lisp. No, he doesn't. Most people get things on the replays. Very seldom does it work out. That's right. Because people are busy with their things. And then when they get, they're in the parking lot looking through their phone, they see it. And so that's why I like to archive stuff and keep it out there, because you never know when someone's going to pop on something. That's how I do my marketing stuff.
Never be too busy to spend 20 minutes with the Magic Brad Show.
That's right. And Frank says, yeah, it auto-corrected. Yeah. So with that, I'll give you a joke. And here's the joke. A priest, a rabbit, and a minister walk into a bar. The bartender says to the rabbit, what do you want, Mr. Rabbit? And he says, I don't know. I'm just here because of the autocorrect. Get it? Do you get it?
No.
Instead of a rabbit, he was supposed to be a rabbi.
Oh, yes.
So the rabbit ended up being there instead of a rabbi.
Oh, yes, of course.
So there's the joke.
All right.
Well, I'm going to put you in the green room. We can have a little chat if you'd like. Other than that, I'm going to sign this off. Appreciate you all watching. Thanks again, Frank, for tuning in and corresponding and engaging. That's awesome. And take care, Brian. Have some of those digital hors d'oeuvres.
All right.
Well, that was fun, as usual. So today we were again talking about the tracking. Who's tracking you? Well, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, you can always contact me or Brian. Just Google us. Or LinkedIn is a place to hang out too. Definitely there. So peace, love, and happiness. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good. Be kind. Be safe. Be nice.